was watching him about 3 years ago. It pays off, dude, because that I can't. I'm. You know how you're low on draft picks for Dynasty, like I'm not, because I just this was my first experience, doing a Dynasty draft, but I felt like every single pick that I made I knew there was a guy that I wanted all the way through all 5 rounds, and I hit so far. The only guys that I didn't hit on were McBride, who I got in the 4th round. He's the running back from. Oh, I was like, not Trey McBride.
I was like, how is McBride not a?
Yeah, right. How is he not a hit? Who did you get? No, but I had. So in this draft, I drafted.
Can we start? And then you can talk about it. Okay.
We're late.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Dynasty Football Theories podcast. I'm your host, Ray, and joining me today is Brian, who's been doing fantasy football for 30 years, and he is in the casino industry. So that's one little tidbit about Brian I think that you guys might find interesting and might value his betting strategies. Also with me is Ken, who's been watching every single NFL game for 3 years, but has been a long-time NFL watcher, and he has excellent memory recall. He can just pull stats right out of his hat.
I keep them up there, actually.
Yeah. I'd imagine. You have to keep them somewhere.
On my shirt, write them on my hand.
I'm always impressed by some of the stats and stuff that you remember. I'm just like, wow.
So we're just before we came on, we were just talking about watching games and studying games and how it pays off. And I was talking about my draft class, which I love this draft class. Like it was I had the 105, the 108, the 201, 26, 211, 212. And then I had
that's a lot of picks.
Oh yeah, I dealt away a lot of guys, and like my team, I changed my team dramatically. Like we drafted this team last summer, and the only player, I have one guy left from that draft, Trey McBride.
Good one to have.
He's the only one I didn't let go. And he was the stud tight end from last year. You might give me and what I remember is he was basically the only one. There was a bunch that came out with like Laporta and Kincaid, and like the Packers got 2, the Cowboys got 1. There was just a bunch of guys that people were high on this year, whereas last year it was McBride and nobody else. So if there was going to be a tight end to come out of his class, it was going to be him, which is the reason I kept him, and it's been working out for the last couple of weeks. But no, at those positions I drafted. Zay Flowers, Devon Achane, Zach Charbonnet. I had a bit of a whiff so far in Kendre Miller because we weren't sure what Kamara was gonna do, what he was gonna be this year. He's just been awesome again. Tajay Spears, Roshan Johnson. Didn't have a round 3 pick. Round 4, pick 9, Tank Dell.
Wow.
So and then I had. Like 2 picks later, I got McBride, which was a bad pick. And then the only one where I feel bad on, I had pick 505, or 504, excuse me, 504. And I took Raheem Jarrett. And 1 pick later, Puka Nacua.
No.
And those were the 2 guys I was looking at. And I took Jarrett because I like what he did. He broke a bunch of Stephon Diggs' records at Maryland. Okay. And is exactly the same size. And so... with Tampa Bay.
And it's so funny because Puka is now an absolute star, and I don't even know where the other guy plays.
He's in Tampa Bay.
That's what I'm saying.
And so for people who don't know that, he made the team as a 6th round draft pick. Mm-hmm. Tampa Bay had 3 rookie wide receivers that made the team this year, and Jarrett is on IR now. He got hurt, making a really spectacular play, but he got hurt. And then Trey Palmer, who if people don't know, he's been playing 75% of the snaps or more for the last 6 weeks, and he's starting to look pretty good. I think he's going to be the Godwin replacement.
Okay.
So
someone to look out for.
Let's get into stuff and stop talking about me.
Since you're talking, you can talk about your Homer minute. You can get into the Cowboys a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun day today. We're at home, getting a chance to take over first place.
Afternoon game?
We are the evening game.
Oh,
I believe
you.
we're the 5. Yeah, we're the 5 o'clock game.
Good. So you'll get to watch it. It's not during the birthday party.
Right. Yeah. My son's 3rd birthday party is today, so it's a busy day today, people. And hey, real quick, we haven't mentioned it. It is the last day of the fantasy football season. Regular season.
Oh yeah.
Regular season, yeah.
Right, yeah. I mean, we haven't mentioned it because we expect
We're
to be in the
playoffs.
So, we're on a Homer minute. So on that note, this guy hits us up in the middle of the week. So is there a chance for me to make the playoffs? And that conversation was hilarious. Like, it was really funny because
I went on break and was like, "What the?"
Yeah, there had to have been like 30 messages or something like that.
I didn't see you disagree with any of it, so.
No, yeah,
it was all kind of concluded by the time I saw
advice and stuff like that. It was included, but yeah, Ray is. So I have my division locked up. Brian doesn't have his division locked up, but he's in. And if he wins today, he'll have the number 1 seed and have a bye. I still have a chance at that at the bye.
Do you?
Yes, because of how it works. It doesn't give it to the.
Oh, that's right. You have to be a division winner.
Yes, I did not, and so I did not know that. And it is not clear. That is not something that's been made clear. Like we listen to the footballers, and they talk about their league, and their league is played by divisions,
yeah.
right? And so I wanted to do it similar to that and see how it works out. And so they never talk about the fact they've never brought up one of them being like 11-3 and the other one being 10-4 and having to play on the wild card, right? I've never heard them complain about that. Yeah, so that could happen to us in our first year of doing it because Brian is 9-4. His division mate is also 9-4. Actually, every team in their division is above 500. And if one of them goes down to 500, that's Ray's best chance actually to get in.
Yep.
So what's funny when you mention it, it's like, to me that was obvious. So maybe that's why they don't mention it. You have to be a division winner to get the bye. That to me is obvious.
It should, and it makes sense because it's more like football. It's more like actual football. So there's you could complain about it, but it's like win your division. You know what I mean?
I know.
And it is something people complain about.
And another thing is
I hear people complain about it.
To be honest with you, well, this season went a little unexpected with my uncle being less active than he normally is. Danny is the taco of our league. Like that's and I mean every league should have one. I think
right.
You know, every home league should have a taco for sure. Like, and if you don't, anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about the show from FX from back in the day, The League, hilarious. You should check it out. It's loosely based on fantasy football, so it's good for people who don't like fantasy football as well. Our league has been tough this year. It is tough. Like, and our waiver wires are dry.
There's nothing on the waiver wire
there.
man.
Like we listen. I listen to waiver wire Tuesdays and stuff like that on different shows, and that guy's been gone for weeks.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we saw that, dude. We're on top of that.
So I think this week I had an extra spot on my bench because I got to put somebody in the IR, and I was like, all right, cool. Let me see who can I pick up. Who's worth that.
Nobody.
I guess I'll pick up this defense that I might use in a
He's
couple
got
of
three
weeks.
defenses. He's got 3 defenses right now. That's how dry our league is. Because the best thing you could possibly do is just be stacking defenses. Because there's no running backs to pick up. There's no receivers to pick up. There's not even quarterbacks.
All you can do is block.
Not even an
other
extra
people.
quarterback. Like the best thing you can be doing is like right now the best thing that you can do in our league, and I was doing this last week, is like blocking your opponent's possible replacements for the guys that get injured. So if your opponent's got somebody that's questionable, go pick up his backup.
Yep.
And like if your league is like that, like ours, and there's not a whole lot of like juicy pickups, like play defense.
Yep.
And it works.
As far as the Cowboys
go, no, we're good.
Okay,
like we're 9-3. We're right where we want to be. This is like we talked about this weeks ago. It went exactly the way that I hoped it would go. How are you doing?
I'm in a bit of a depression, but
so hold on a second. when we left our viewers,
you
the
cursed me.
The Steelers were 7-4. They were looking at a juicy schedule. We were talking about them being like 10-4, maybe even getting a bye. You know, no, not getting a bye.
No,
but it was kind of fun for old time's sake to watch the Patriots just really stick it to the Steelers when they needed to win.
Oh, dude.
I was like, where was that quarterback this whole season? Just
he's
riding
been on
the bench.
He's been on the bench.
He's riding the bench.
They got zapped.
Yeah. I was kind of irritated that I was having to watch that game on the run. Like I was taking my kids to the zoo and stuff, and I was like, man, this is going to be a great game. I can't believe I'm going to, not really get to see it, just kind of on my phone here and there. And then I was just like, man, I'm so glad I'm not watching this stupid game.
You probably shouldn't have dropped Zeke.
Yeah, that might have been a mistake, but I didn't know Stevenson was going to get hurt the next day.
I know. I traded him for in my Dynasty league.
Yeah.
I just picked him up in a trade, and then he gets hurt, and I'm like, well, at least he's not scoring points against me.
Zeke, like Beckham, was one of those ones I kind of wanted to get and then hold on to him for a while.
See what happens.
And just see what happens.
He's been good.
Well, I held on to him all season, and he's just not somebody that was usable. I mean, he was okay. He was getting a touch here and there, but just not somebody you could put in your lineup.
Like Kareem Hunt.
And so I'm looking at it going, well, I need somebody that I might be able to actually put him in my lineup at some point. So as soon as I drop him, Stevens will get hurt. And look at that. Oh, he's a star now.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, that is a terrible feeling.
Yeah,
that's terrible.
And anyway, back to the Steelers. This is going to be another 9-8 season. We're going to miss the playoffs, and
you guys are still in right now, though.
This is a 9-8 season.
But that might be good enough.
I put money on it right now.
There are, if you could I mean, it's actually kind of comical. If you think about it,
2 tough games.
It really is kind of comical because they were lined up for what looked like at least 11, 12 win season, and maybe that's why Mike Tomlin hasn't won Coach of the Year, is because he always finishes 9-8, 10-7, and even if they're supposed to finish 12-5 or 13-4, like he's gonna finish somewhere around 500.
I think this team overperformed this year up into the last 2 weeks, and because I do remember they used to not perform very well on the road. Like there was, especially Ben Roethlisberger, his home road splits were atrocious. We've got a strong home field advantage, so I mean we're always strong at home.
Your last 2 losses were at home. That's the really shocking thing, is that like you guys just lost twice in 5 days at home.
2 words for you: Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, that'll do it. That'll sink a boat.
Yes, it will.
So as far as the Rams go, we got Baltimore this week, and I think this is going to be like a real test to see like if we can get in the playoffs and if we can do good in the playoffs. And because we're firing on all cylinders right now, I don't really think there's a big. I mean, everybody's got somewhat kind of injuries, right? It's almost into the season, so can't really put it on that. But all our players are going to be playing, so
to me, your offensive line is playing so much better than people expected.
Sure.
And that's the biggest thing, because like Stafford with time and those weapons, he's tearing people apart right now. And I called it last week. I was like, I think he might have a chance at like a top 5 quarterback finish. Then he goes off and has 3 more touchdowns, and look great. And so I really like their chances today.
I actually don't know if I'm starting him or starting Purdy.
You got to start Purdy.
I don't know.
Purdy, you can't honestly. Purdy on my confidence level. The only guys that I'm starting in front of Purdy right now are Dak, Jalen Hurts, and Josh Allen. That's it.
I'm starting.
That's Purdy. It. There's nobody else I'm starting in front of Purdy.
I'm starting Purdy. Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure. And then from a Homer Minute, just is a little outside of the Rams, but I actually made a video on TikTok. Right.
You TikToking?
TikTok on Friday at 11 a.m. and I looked at it and I kind of laughed. I go, "This is pretty funny. It could go viral, right?" So by I don't know, I want to say 7 p.m. that evening, it had like 100K views, and I was just like, "Oh, it's going. It's like it's possibly going to make it. It's going to possibly." And the reason why I bring it up, because with that you get followers, and if you get that 1K follower, then you can go live on TikTok, which is what I want to start doing too. Go live with the show on TikTok.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
But then I got a watch sensitivity warning on it, and it just plummeted the
Really?
Yes.
What happened?
They just have you ever
What no, I understand what a watch sensitivity thing does, is it'll stop a bunch of views because it plays automatically unless that puts it on there, then you have to press the button. Yeah. So why did they do that?
I have no idea.
What was the video about?
I can show it to you. It's not very long.
Yeah, people can't see it though. Let's look at it afterwards. I was just curious.
Well, they'll be able to hear it if you turn it up. But just so you can, because it was pretty funny. It's pretty funny, right? So when you're ready, just get ahead and watch anyway.
Scientists can now transform stress into electricity.
It's pretty funny. All right, so people can't see it, so it's it starts out the first 3 seconds are like, ooh, there's a new way to produce electricity, and then it cuts to a scene from Star Wars where
Palpatine says unlimited power.
Well, Sidious, Darth Sidious. Okay, this is his real name.
Okay,
his real name. Darth Sidious, uses the Force lightning and strikes down
Mace Windu.
Mace Windu.
But says unlimited power,
right?
Yes.
And then the viewers were like I would be Thor. So it was something that people, and then they started stitching. It was doing all the things that like
make it go
viral.
Yeah.
People share it, people stitch it, people duet it, and then it was like watch sensitivity warning at like 100K. I was like,
it was probably something somebody else did or something.
I don't know. It's just Mace Windu getting barbecued.
But watch sensitivity. Maybe you know what it is. It's like no, I won't say it. No. We'll get a watch sensitivity warning. All right, and with that, some watch sensitivity. I think it's time for pie.
Oh yeah, sounds delicious. What kind of pie do we have today?
We have the kind of pie that is full of regret. Because, as I was saying when we walked in, I gave you 3 running back choices. And smashed in the middle of those 3 was Alvin Kamara, and I just wish I hadn't done that. Oh, boy.
Yeah, Kamara went off, and Zach Moss did not. And I feel vindicated with this bet because basically I was just saying you need to cool your jets on Moss, and he came out with 9 or 10 points, which, was definitely less than what everybody wanted.
He had almost more carries inside the 10 than he had fantasy points. He had 7 carries inside the 10 and came up with less than 10 fantasy points. Thanks, Zach Moss. This pie is on you, brother.
Hey, let me have a piece of that real quick.
Yeah, you got it.
Just a scoop of it.
Let me get some pie and biscuit real quick.
Yeah. I want a biscuit too.
Little biscuit. See, look at this.
All right,
Ray's gotten smart here, and he's got us some biscuits for the pie afterwards.
I watched the. I opened the fridge this morning and I was like, "Oh, we got biscuits!" And my son just learned how to make biscuits. I was like, "Hey, make some biscuits, boy!
Hey, boy,
make me some biscuits."
Should we go whipped cream on this one? Or?
Yeah, that's why it's there. Yeah, we got to stay consistent. We got to. The pie has to have whipped cream
on it.
I'll try not to do wall splatter.
It's got to go in my face, apparently.
Just 4 weeks in a row.
This is what happens when you bet against the house, people. You get pie.
He's giggling over there
because he knows I'm not wrong. I ain't spitting lies.
I take it as a compliment.
Yeah.
Oh, I was about to throw here. Let me go ahead and get some pie there.
Let me just taste what a piece of what Ken's getting to the face.
Oh boy. That's not even a piece of pie.
I just want a bite.
A pie sliver?
Yeah.
I just want a sliver of pie.
I just want to taste it.
Yeah, it's not. You can just
I don't want to ruin the bam. You know what I mean?
All right, yeah.
All right.
Try not to do the. Here.
All right.
Oh wait.
All right.
Where's the music? Oh, there it is.
Here's what happens when you bet against Brian. Oh yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah, thank you.
I was trying to get a little more blueberry on there. I wanted some color.
You look like one of those clowns from like those scary shows, those scary movie those movies with scary clowns in them.
Dude, this one stuck really well. The blueberry pie is where it's at, I think. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I was hoping for a little more blueberry splatter, but a little more color. But it is what it is.
You know what I think I just need to up the quality of the pie.
That would
And I
cost
want-
money.
Right?
And I keep wanting to do that, but I'm not going to do it to myself. So,
Got it. Makes
Like-
sense.
I'm sure I'll
everybody
lose
is
that someday.
paying attention right now. Next week, you can expect a premium pie to Brian's face.
Ooh.
We shall see.
Right before he loses his playoff matchup because he has to play the wild card round after he loses today.
Oh my goodness! Listen to this man dreaming.
I mean, I don't care. I'm gonna see you in the finals.
Are you guys playing? Are you guys playing against each other today?
No. I'm playing against Taco. I mean, it's not possible for me to miss the playoffs, but it would be funny for me to not get the first round bye from losing to Taco. That would be funny. And I'm currently projected to win by 30. So, and I've lost after being projected to win by 30.
We all have.
Yeah. So
All right.
that's no guarantee, but I'll give you a guarantee. The Lions will win today.
Who do Lions have?
They have the Bears. That's that's where we're starting today. We're starting with Lions and Bears. Whenever Ray's done buttering his own biscuit.
All right, up first, Detroit Lions versus Chicago Browns. Lions -3 over under 44 Bears. -170 is the money line on Detroit and +142 on Bears.
You know what? The Chicago Browns has a nice ring
Oh,
to it.
Chicago Bears. I'm sorry.
I actually kind of like that. Maybe they should swap. It should be
Last week I made a
the
mistake
Cleveland
too.
Bears and the Chicago Browns.
Last week I made a mistake too. I think I said Final Fantasy instead of
You did.
fantasy
You
football.
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was his league. His league was the Final Fantasy League.
Yeah, and that's just one of those things that's mechanisms that's stuck in my brain, and so I will always do that.
Final Fantasy is right there. with
Yeah,
fantasy.
it's just stuck there.
yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
I get it. Yeah, we didn't correct you. We were just like, yeah. Yeah, that
What's funny
honestly,
is I caught it like an hour or two later. I was like,
Dude,
I think I said Final Fantasy. I was like recalling the podcast in my brain.
This is a tough pie.
Yeah, it
I
was.
know. That's why I was trying to like get a little more to come out of there, but man, it didn't want to spread.
No, it didn't. It like really held together. Nice. All right. So, what are the stats on this game? Ray?
-3 over unders 44.5. -3 is the Lions, and the money line's 170.
Okay.
142
Yeah,
in the Bears.
honestly, I think this is going to be an interesting game.
I do too.
The Bears have been playing a lot better, and Detroit's been kind of wavering,
Defensively,
especially
they've
on
been bad.
defense. Yeah.
Defensively, they've been bad. They're a fantasy dream right now because they're so good on offense and so bad on defense.
Yeah.
So, and also there's some interesting stats about Justin Fields and DJ Moore. The last few times they've actually been able to play together, I believe they've combined for more than 50 fantasy points like the last 4 times they've played together. So that's a really strong pair if you
Yeah.
can pull that off in DFS, which you should be able to because Justin Fields is pretty cheap this week in DFS at 6,800.
Quit giving away my lineup, man. It's early in the show.
Oh well, they gave it away on the footballers already.
Oh,
Nobody listens to them. They listen to us.
I'm just making fun of Brian.
So, just by the way, you guys, that's apricot habanero jam.
Oh,
for your biscuits.
habanero.
For
That
your
looks pretty good.
biscuits.
I'm definitely.
I just took a bite of it and I was like, whoa, that's amazing.
Oh, all right.
So,
So yeah, love Justin Fields today. Love DJ Moore today. DJ Moore is top 10 start to me. The thing I'm most excited about in this game is Roshan Johnson. They're coming off their bye. Roshan was getting more work leading into the bye. Khalil Herbert has been a complete non-factor this year, and he's
Surprising.
usually fantasy busts are reserved for guys that you draft like the first 3 rounds, you know.
right.
But a lot of times you have these zero RB strategies, you know, and Khalil Herbert was one of the like top running backs you could have drafted if
Right.
you were on a zero RB strategy this year. So to me, he's a huge bust because there were people that were counting on him as like their RB2.
You know, a lot of the RBs in that range busted. You know what I mean? Or at least weren't as good as what people thought. There's very few of those.
Pacheco was the guy. Pacheco and Cook.
Pacheco,
Pacheco and Cook were
Madison,
both good. Madison's been bad. Sanders has been bad. Cam Akers has
Sanders,
been awful.
Yep.
You're right. There's been a lot of them that were bad in that range. But And it's funny. It's running back has just been bad, but it's honestly it just makes me more want to be out on like running backs. If you can't get a running back in like the first 20 picks, like you just kind of almost don't want one.
Yeah.
You just
Because
wait.
then you'll just wait and get whoever's
Trade
backup
for
is
somebody.
taking
You know,
over.
stack up your wide receivers and just trade one of them for somebody who happened to have extra running backs that were unexpectedly good or something like that. Is what it seems like is the way to go. Because these running backs it is so hard to project which ones are going to have good years and which ones aren't.
Yeah.
Like unless you're McCaffrey and Kamara,
Right.
and that's like it. So anyway,
On the other side, Detroit. I mean, I think you have to start everybody, but I mean, I'd temper expectations
getting
a
more
little bit
interesting
just
every
because
week?
Chicago D has been good, man.
they've been better, that's for sure. But this Lions offense is really good.
I agree.
and while Jared Goff has been bad on the road here and there, this was one of the games he was good last year, was in Chicago. Or if you remember, like we were talking about Jared Goff being a non-start, and then they went off in Chicago. If memory serves, I'd have to go back and look. I'm pretty sure that's what happened last year, was that they had a shootout.
I believe you.
So, but the guy that's getting more interesting because of that to me is Jameson Williams. He's been scoring random touchdowns. He hasn't been getting the target volume that you'd want, but watch him, because once he does start getting the target volume, he's a guy who scores touchdowns. So he's somebody I'm watching. Somebody, and the Lions have a really
But
good
not for
schedule.
today.
Yeah. Not for today. He's a good DFS play because he's still really cheap and he can score.
Okay, I like it.
So I'm taking the Lions.
Yeah, I think Chicago has a good chance, but I'm going to take the Lions.
The Lions really need to win now.
Yeah.
Like the Packers are surging. The Lions should be motivated to beat the Bears today. I expect them to win.
Next up, my favorite game, the Rams versus the Ravens. The Rams are plus 7.5. They're not getting any respect. Over under 42, plus 285 if you're betting on the Rams, minus 360 if you're betting on the Ravens.
Yeah, I'm having trouble like outright picking the Rams in this game, but 7.5 is too much.
Yeah.
Agreed. And I agree with that completely. I think I'll take the Ravens, but I think the Rams I have a real good chance to win. But it's hard to pick them there. But something I wanted to bring up is chance of precipitation at kickoff, 93%. The wind is only 7, so but it says weather forecast rainfall around 0.5 inch. That's a lot of rain. So I expect a wet, messy game there. So be careful on that.
I actually don't think the Ravens are near as good as people are saying are thinking they are. Like, so you guys familiar what's going on with the college playoff right now?
No.
So they just made the selection for the college playoff, and they left off 12-0 Florida State.
Right.
That has like 3 top 25 wins this year, and they left them off mostly because their quarterback got injured. So it has nothing to do with what the school accomplished. It's that they're projecting.
I didn't hear that. That's hilarious.
It's that the committee is projecting that they'll get better ratings by putting other teams in, and so people are pissed. And it's like they've been doing this forever. And I mean, I don't like it. I hate it. It's sick. And especially as a Florida State fan, I'm not surprised. I've seen it so many times. So like, why people are up in arms now is like crazy to me. They've been doing this forever, you guys. And anyway, I don't want to get too sidetracked on that. But in the NFL, they've been because it's everybody's picking their 4, for the college football playoff, and it's like they've mirrored that in the NFL in NFL talks. Like, who are your 4? And I can't hear anybody give their 4 without putting Baltimore in there. And I don't see it.
No,
I do not see it. And like, in fact, I'm picking the Rams. I am picking the Rams. Like, this is the same Ravens team that just lost at home to the Colts in an ugly game, right?
Yeah. I hear you.
So I love what the Rams are doing.
I do too.
If the game was like windier and uglier, like muddy and wet, like that's fine. The Rams have good receivers. That's actually a receiver advantage. If you have a quarterback that can deliver the football when it's wet, and Matthew Stafford has no problem delivering the football in bad weather, he's still one of the best arms in the game. The Rams are playing better football to me So.
And what's up with Cooper Kupp right now? What's his status? Like, is he just hurt?
He's getting healthier. We talked about this, if not last week, the week before. He's playing through an injury. He's been told he can't make it any worse. So when you see him hobble off on the sideline, just don't worry about it too much. He's working through it. And that's another thing is like, we don't see him all week long. This could be the week where he's Cooper Kupp again.
Right.
And so I have a really hard time like ranking him outside of my top 24. He's like right there. Like if I'm in a 2-receiver league, you can probably still find somebody to start over Cooper Kupp. But in you're in 3, there's no way. There's no way you're not starting Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, I agree.
I think last week he scored the most points he's scored all week as far as fantasy goes.
All season?
Yeah, or all season.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he, depending on the league, he was about 15 points. You know.
Okay.
And Nakua, but Nakua's still the one
23.
right now. I would still start Nakua over Kupp right now. And like he had monster numbers last week and had like a 55-yard run called back. That play was awesome. That reverse that got called back.
Yeah.
Dude, he looked like such a monster running down the field.
I ran out of the room for a second, came back. I was like, "What happened?" Like, they're back on the 30 or whatever yard it was.
It doesn't even look fair. It's like watching him in the open field reminds me of like watching Terrell Owens in the open field. Because he was so fast and so big. It's like even if they catch him, he's just going to throw him. You know, like most of these guys, it's going to take like 2 of those guys to take him down. He's just a monster of a player. I like watching Puka play.
Now, is he hurt right now? I know he got banged up in that game, but
he's got like midsection stuff, like ribs. He's got soreness going on, but it's football. Like it did not like he certainly does not look affected when you watch him on the field. And it doesn't seem to be affecting how he attacks people physically. So I wouldn't worry about it at all. And then they've got Kyron Williams playing the way he's playing right now. You can't sit him. Like you just can't sit Kyron Williams either.
And then Baltimore side.
It's just hard to be excited about anything for Baltimore right now. Like other than like you're like, come on, Keaton Mitchell, get 15 touches. Come on, Keaton Mitchell. Like that's where we're at with Baltimore right now. Because Lamar Jackson is the hottest and coldest of quarterbacks. You know.
Yep.
So to me, like I have Lamar Jackson at like 12 or something like that as far as quarterbacks are concerned this week because I just feel like there are 10 to 12 guys that you can find that you're more confident will get you 20 points than Lamar Jackson because he could score you 40, but he could give you 11.
Right. Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, one of the things I feel confident about in this game is containing him. Like
I agree.
Rams are used to playing against running quarterbacks, quarterbacks that extend
They're built
plays.
to beat Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
And like their defense, like, well, it's younger now, but Aaron Donald, came up playing against Russ in his prime, and then Kyler Murray as he came out. So yeah, they're used to this. So I don't think it's going to be. I mean, obviously Lamar Jackson's a challenge.
Yeah.
But like honestly,
and he'll probably get away a couple times.
The rain is going to hurt them more than it hurts LA.
Think so.
I do, because Lamar Jackson's not a particularly accurate passer. So I worry more about him.
Start the Rams defense.
Yeah, I don't know. This could still. I think this could be a high scoring game. I do. Like it
feels like it could go either way.
Yeah, it does.
I picked them for the high scoring game actually.
But I'm picking the Rams. I'm picking the Rams.
And just before we end, we need to say Isaiah Likely, I think, is a decent start.
Yeah, people should know about him. Actually, and because of the wet weather, he's an even better start because his targets come within like 5 yards.
Exactly.
I have him in a lineup.
Yep.
In a cash lineup. Actually.
Yeah, if you're looking
and he's only
for
3,500 on DFS, so he's really good.
Yeah,
he's a strong
and he
play.
might be on the waiver wire. I know he was on the wire in some.
But I'll tell you
what,
I was ready to start him, and now this is a match I don't really necessarily need to win, because there's no way I miss the playoffs. But another league where I have a chance of getting the bye, I have McBride, I have Andrews who's hurt. And Likely was available. I picked up Likely, but Brevin Jordan was also available. And I dropped Likely for Brevin Jordan. And the reason I did that is because there's no Dalton Schultz today. And Brevin Jordan, if you like watching him, like he's a really good football player.
I can see that.
He's a fun him and Chigo Okonkwo are very similar to me.
likely has a better matchup
Agreed.
this week.
Agreed. I
So
agree
that's-
totally.
You know what I mean?
I agree totally. It's
But
just
I
that
agree that he's not any
the
kind
Jets
of
have
special
not been
player.
very good against tight ends. They've given up, and I mean it makes sense because like their corners are so good that like opponents should be attacking running backs and tight ends more often against them. And I think Brevin Jordan is a threat to score, whereas Isaiah Likely is not as much of a threat to score, and he'll score twice today. Now that I said that, sorry, buddy, but that's the way I see it.
All right. Oh, you got all the picks?
Yep, we're good.
Okay.
Next up, we got Colts versus the Bengals. Colts is +3, over-unders 44.5, +124 on the Colts, -148 on the Bengals.
This is my favorite game to stack in DFS.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The prices on players and just these. I think these defenses are going to give it up to each other today. The Bengals haven't been very good, and it's really based on how well Jake Browning has played. And I feel that one I feel really good about because going into last week I was like he looks really good, and like he just looks like a slower processor than Joe Burrow, but he can make all the throws, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're able to protect him a little bit, and then sure enough on Monday night he's 32 for 37, 300 yards, and three touchdowns, three
was something
touchdowns,
ridiculous,
two passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
So I'm real excited about him versus Minshew today. And then on DraftKings, Joe Mixon. We've talked about. I was wrong. This is something I was wrong about. Was like being scared of Joe Mixon. If Browning's going to play well, then Joe Mixon's going to have a monster postseason, just a monster fantasy postseason, because he's going to get 5 or 6 catches a game. Because that's something that Joe Burrow doesn't do a lot of is dumping the ball off, but that was something that Browning did a ton of, was taking the check down.
Right.
So
if he's getting those checkdowns, that's hugely valuable. I've always been one that's a little down on Mixon. I'm not very impressed with his talent. But
same, agreed.
If he's getting that kind of opportunity, you can't ignore him.
Yeah, and then they're playing against the Colts today, who just gave up 2 touchdowns on the ground last week to Derrick Henry. And I think this season, you compare Derrick Henry and Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon has looked better. He's looked more. He's looked more athletic than Derrick Henry has.
I feel like they have different skill sets, but
they do. But they're both big running backs.
Yeah.
Joe Mixon is, I think he's 6'1", 230, something like that. He's a big dude. He's like bigger than Ezekiel Elliott.
Next up, we got the Colts versus the Bengals. No, we just talked about that. No, we need to pick our picks.
Yeah,
we need to make our picks.
Yeah, and this is in Cincinnati, so I'm going to take the Bengals.
I'm going to say that Browning was a bit of a fluke last week. I think I'm going to go with Indy here, and I'm doubting Browning. So
yeah,
I think with some film on him and whatnot, I think I'm thinking back to like Will Levis. Levis looked great his first start. You know what I mean?
This
and
is
then
2 consecutive starts for Browning. And
he didn't look good in the first one.
He did. That's why I told you he looked good. But he was. They were playing against Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
It? No, that's not right. I don't know.
Who they played 2 games ago. I'm sorry.
While he's looking that up, to tie off that, I'll go ahead and read off the next line for Texans versus Jets. Texans -3. Over-under is 33. Money line is -166 if you're betting on the Texans, and +140 if you're betting on the Jets.
Yeah, it was Pittsburgh. They were playing against Pittsburgh, and against Pittsburgh, he went 19 for 26 for 227 and a touchdown and 1 pick. And if I remember right, the pick wasn't necessarily a bad throw. I think it might have been a tip pass. And I remember watching the film and telling you like that. I thought he looked good. I thought he did a good job of processing the field. He was just a little slower. Like he looks like he's just like not an elite NFL quarterback. He looks, when you watch him back there, when I watch him back there, he reminds me of Andy Dalton.
Okay.
And the biggest problem for Andy Dalton was that he was unathletic and he was a little deliberate. So he'd stand back there, and if his first read wasn't there and there was a little bit of pressure, it was most likely that he wasn't going to complete a pass downfield. And Jake Browning kind of reminds me of that. So if the Bengals are able to protect him, he'll play well. And if they're not able to protect him, he won't play well. I don't think the Colts are going to challenge that today. I don't think they're going to put a whole lot of pressure on him. T. Higgins is completely healthy now. Jamar Chase is just going off. Like
he's
like somebody
elite,
told
but-
Jamar. It's like somebody got in Jamar Chase's ear and he's like, "Oh, your season's over because Joe Burrow's done." He's like, "What? Oh, watch this.
Hold my beer.
Hold my beer." Yeah, because Jamar Chase looks like a monster right now. Like he looks like the best receiver in the league right now.
All right. Maybe we can do a Browning versus somebody bet today.
Versus Minshew. Browning versus Flacco.
No, I am not taking Flacco.
But maybe that's definitely possible. Let me see where I have Jake Browning on my. I think I still have him ranked as like quarterback 14 or 15. I have Jake Browning. No, I still have him at 18. I still have him ranked below Gardner Minshew because I still like. I would rather start Minshew because Minshew's done it more often. But it would not surprise me if Jake Browning outplays a handful of the guys in front of him because he's like 13 is Matthew Stafford. Then I've got C.J. Stroud, Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, and he can definitely outplay Stroud, Smith, Bakefield, and Minshew today for sure. No problem.
All right.
So yeah, moving on.
Texans and Jets.
He already read it off here.
Oh, my bad.
Texans -3. Man, this is gonna be an interesting game. To me, this is Stroud. You know, how real is Stroud this year? I think as far as we know, he's going to be a great quarterback in this league. But let's see where he is right now.
And I would be there with you if the weather was better.
The weather is going to be an issue.
The weather is going to be really bad. He just lost one of his major weapons, and the Jets' defense is good.
I thought I remembered that this one actually wasn't too bad as far as weather goes. Let me see.
I thought the high
6 mile an hour winds. The wind isn't bad at all.
That's not bad.
Only a 21% chance of rain.
What's the temperature?
57 degrees.
That's not bad.
So it's
that's
not bad. Yeah,
it shouldn't be that bad. He hasn't played as well on the road. So this is a good test for him.
Yeah, the secondary, this everything. Yeah, this is going to be fun. Matter of fact, asking for a friend here, like, who would you start? C.J. Stroud against this tough defense, like, or would you be so worried you'd start somebody like Dobby?
No, I would not start Josh Dobbs over C.J. Stroud. Browning is a maybe.
Jeez,
I'm serious.
Really?
Yes, I'm serious. And he's not, and you didn't just jump on that because he's playing in New York, he's playing against that Jets defense. He just lost a major weapon, and he's got down 2 weapons today because there's no Schultz either.
Right.
So,
and that's why I'm so worried about him that I'm thinking about a Dobbs.
And these are how I bait, and I still have it ranked 6 spots higher than I do Browning because that's if I had C.J. Stroud and Browning on my roster, I would just roll with C.J. Stroud. I would do that. But it wouldn't surprise me if Browning's outscored him.
That's fair.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Against that Jets defense, really anything could happen. So
and
wide range of outcomes.
And against the Colts defense, literally anything has happened. Like they've given it up in every which way. You're just not sure how they're going to do it. So you're not sure if it's going to be a Joe Mixon 3 touchdown day, or it could be a Jake Browning 3 or 4 touchdown day.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure the Colts are going to give up 3 or 4 touchdowns, whereas I don't think the Jets will give up 3 touchdowns.
So, are there any Jets weapons that you want to start other than Garrett Wilson?
And actually the weather. That's the thing I'm most excited about now is that it's not he's going to get Zach Wilson back, and it's really funny because hey, vindication. I'm feeling it right now. Just as much as Zach Wilson is, I'm with you, Zach. Hey, maybe I'll come back and start. Why would I want to do that? Obviously, I was the best quarterback here. You didn't know what you were doing. Me coming back to start for you only hurts my career. You're not going to want me next year. Why do I want to start these last 3 games and maybe get hurt? Maybe possibly even hurt my reputation more. Because now people are looking at Zach Wilson. Now when you look at the situation, you can go, oh, it wasn't Zach's fault. It really got real bad when they took Zach Wilson out.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, but their options were horrible too.
And that's, to me, even put Aaron Rodgers in there. Yeah. It's not going to get that much better. Trust me, it's not, because he's got no weapons. He's got no offensive line. There's no time. They have Garrett Wilson, they have Breece Hall, and that's it. That's what they got. There's no offensive line to speak of. There's nothing positive going on their offensive line right now.
Yeah,
and also like the one thing I'll say people should be aware of, especially for Dynasty, is Xavier Gipson. I brought him up at the beginning of the year. He flashed on Hard Knocks, if you remember, and I said the Jets really need him to take over for Randall Cobb. That has happened. The last couple of games, he's up above 70% snaps. And then last game, I think he caught 6 balls or something like that. It's happening now. And with Wilson getting back into the fold, like I'm really hoping that maybe they'll find something that can move their offense a little bit, like getting Gibson involved underneath and getting Wilson, into the intermediate and deep ranges. And they have Conklin. But it wasn't going to happen with those other 2 guys. That's for sure.
Yeah. So do you think the Jets get like a little kick in the butt getting Zach Wilson back and you come out and play well?
Oh, Zach will play well.
Okay. Are you picking him?
I am.
Hey,
I am picking my guy. I am picking the Jets to win this game. I'm not gonna. Seriously, like after watching the last couple weeks and seeing how bad it's been, I do feel like I've been right about Zach Wilson. Like the things that I've seen from him and his ability to like honestly, like they moved the ball when Wilson was in there. They weren't able to score in the red zone, but they moved the ball. They were a team that was a threat to score and win games, and with Tim Boyle at quarterback, that was not going to happen. So I actually do think they're going to get a little shot in the arm today, and they're going to play better. And I'm not going to pick them to win because they're going to play so well. I'm going to pick them to win because I think that they will be able to hold Houston down under 20 points.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and take Houston on this one. I'm going to put some faith in Stroud. But this is a really hard one for me to pick. I could really go either way on this one. I'm just anxious to see it, honestly. I think it's going to be a good, interesting game.
I am too, because there's not a whole lot of like 10 o'clock games I would rather watch instead of this one.
Yeah.
Okay, next up we have Carolina Panthers versus New Orleans Saints. Carolina's plus 5.5. Over-under is 39. Plus 200 is the money line on the Panthers and 245 on the Saints.
Oh, real quick, I'm lone wolfing on the Jets today.
Yeah.
All right, I love it. All right, Zach, let's get him.
Right. All right. I'm sorry. Which game did we just read off?
We're on the Saints and Panthers now. So
right. Okay.
Go ahead and start Kamara. Start Olave. Olave is going to be awesome. He's top 10 for me this week.
Yeah, I saw you had him up pretty high.
Watching him the last couple weeks, like he is ascending to me. Like his abilities, his ability to get open, his ability to catch the ball. Like the touchdowns aren't there, but to me, I cannot name 5 guys that I would rather have on my dynasty team at wide receiver right now than Chris Olave.
All right.
That's how well he's playing to me. I actually would have been more excited about him if Jameis Winston was going to play today, and less about Kamara. But because it's going to be Derek Carr, like it's going to be check down city again. So I do think Olave is going to score today, and that's why I think he'll be a top 10. But he's going to get monster points anyway. He's going to have somewhere between 8 and 10 catches and 100+ yards for sure.
Okay,
that's what I see.
And on the other side, do you like anybody for Carolina? I mean,
Thielen, I love Mingo, actually. I like what's going to happen.
I was just going to bring up Mingo because Thielen just hasn't been it. It really feels like he's taken a turn for the worse. But Mingo, his targets, his catches, his everything, his
usage,
percentage of snaps,
he's been playing a high percent of snaps actually all year long.
And I think he got 10 targets last week.
And yes, he did. And that's what's been happening recently. He's been. What happened the first 9-10 weeks of the year was that Bryce Young would drop back there, and the only person that he was delivering the ball to was Adam Thielen. And now the ball is starting to get spread out a little more. And I honestly don't know if that's necessarily like Mingo or if it's Bryce Young starting to develop a little bit. That's interesting. But when I watched last week, and now they're playing against Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay's defense is missing a bunch of dudes. They are beat up right now. So you got to take that with a little bit of grain of salt. But he was delivering the ball all over the place to everybody but Thielen. Last week, he was getting the ball to DJ Chark. He was getting the ball to Mingo. Yep. He was getting the ball to the running backs. Not Hubbard, but which they have. That's so weird. I hate when teams do that. when they give all of the receiving work, like they just flat won't throw the ball to a guy and then they'll have him run the ball 20 plus times. Because to me, it's just like you're giving away what you're doing.
Right.
You know, throw him, even if you like, just throw him the ball a couple times. You know,
just to keep the defense on their toes.
Yeah, you got to keep them honest
a little bit. I agree.
But yeah, I'm with you. I'm super excited about Mingo. Like, I wish their offense was playing better, but I think he's going to be somebody who continues to get targets.
Yeah.
I think he's just kind of like taken over from Adam Thielen.
I agree. And he's a rookie receiver. This is the back half of the season. That's usually when those rookies start catching on and getting the confidence of the coaches. So
yeah, he's not my favorite of those guys, but he's definitely in that conversation.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right,
And we're all
I'll
taking
take
the
New
Saints.
Orleans.
Yeah, we're all taking the Saints. So you're not taking the 1-10 Panthers.
No, sir.
110, 111. Are they 111 now?
Yeah.
Next up, we got the Bucks versus the Falcons. Bucks are plus 1.5. Over under is 41. Plus 100 if you're betting on the Bucks. Minus 120 if you're betting on the Falcons.
Sneaky fantasy bonanza game.
Bucks and Falcons. Interesting.
Sneaky fantasy bonanza game.
Yeah, the Buccaneers offense has just been producing points. Like Rashad White, Mike Evans, Baker Mayfield's been a number 2 quarterback if you play in super flex or 2 quarterback leagues. And then this Falcons defense is just, man, they're just iffy. Like I'm trying to figure out who they remind me of because they have the ability to make big plays. They've made several big plays this season, and it's the biggest reason why the Falcons are they 5-7? Is that what they are? What's their record?
They're
right
somewhere
now?
around there.
It's like they're not out of it. They're definitely not out of it.
Right. Because they're divisions. So
and that's to me that's the biggest reason for them individually though is because of like the swing plays that their defense has made. So I don't think they're particularly good. I think the Falcons are. So my long way of saying. That the reason I think that this is going to be actually a good fantasy football game
6-6
is even better than I thought is because the Falcons defense isn't actually as good as some of their statistics might say that they are. They've played against some teams that have failed to score in important moments against them. And it's helped how their statistics actually look. Like it's hard to explain all of that, but like the Commanders game, they got lucky with a couple of turnovers in the Commanders game. They had the pick 6 against Derek Carr. It was Derek Carr's first interception inside the red zone this year. So I'm not scared of their defense at all. And on the other side, Tampa Bay is giving it up to everybody right now. Like they're so beat up, and then they just lost.
Now they're known for being tough against the run.
But they've been softer on the run. Well, they've been down Levante David and Shaq Barrett. Both of them missed last game. Jamel Dean's been down. I think the only guy that's been playing every game that of their studs is like Antoine Winfield Jr. back there, and they lost Vita Vea. I don't think he's going to play today. So, real excited for Bijan today. Bijan is a top 5 start for me.
And just throwing that out there because Bijan, normally this would be a tough matchup for him because you don't want to play against that Tampa Bay defense. But just throwing it out there, this week that's not really the case.
And they're at home too. So,
fire up Bijan.
Excuse me. Bijan has 3 consecutive games of more than 20 touches since their bye week. So
he's really taken over as the back now.
Yes, Algier has just kind of disappeared.
Actually,
this is probably like for me like the toughest game of the week to pick because I really could see it going either way. Like I could see the Falcons, pull. I actually I think I like the Falcons better in this game. I do. Like I
was hoping you'd take Tampa. I was like, I hope he goes Tampa.
I've already given you a couple. I picked the Rams over the Ravens. I picked the Colts. I picked the Bengals over the Colts. You're lone wolf on that one, by the way. Cool. And I picked the Jets. So you've already got a couple.
All right.
You don't have to feel too bad if we're picking the same one. But yeah, I do. I like the Falcons at home today. Wouldn't surprise me if the Buccaneers pull it out. But I think their offense is going to struggle a little more than the Atlanta offense will today. And Kyle Pitts, by the way, people. Kyle Pitts.
And Drake London. I think you can play Drake London.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys you got to watch out for. You don't know which week to play him. I think this is a good week to play him.
Agreed.
So next up, we have Jags versus the Browns. Jags are it's 9 o'clock almost. 1 minute till. Do you want to do your 9 o'clock reading?
Let's do this one, and then I'll do it.
Okay. Jags versus the Browns. Jags at +2. Over-under is 37.5, +114 if you're betting on the Jags, and -135 if you're betting on the Browns.
All right. We thought this was going to be a big weather game, but I was just looking up the weather, and it's not going to be too bad. So this was a game early in the week that I was just like, oh, God, I don't want to start anybody in this game because the weather's going to be so bad. But it looks like it's all kind of tempered out. Here, let me go over it one more time.
Yeah, but the quarterback situation makes this one where you just
yeah.
Now and I think the Browns are going to be fine. Like Amari Cooper, Amari Cooper for the last 3 weeks is just going into the week. Oh, the Browns are going to be without Amari Cooper this week. Definitely going to be without Amari Cooper this week. Friday comes along, Amari Cooper full practice, or Amari Cooper back at practice, and so it just the reason I'm bringing this up is because I really want to get excited about Cedric Tillman. And Amari Cooper's old ass is making it hard. But that's what I'm watching in this game. That is the one thing I'm watching in this game is Cedric Tillman. Like I've been bringing him up for the last few weeks. He's starting to get targets now. I like him. That's the guy to watch in this one.
Weather update. It is going to have 13-mile-an-hour winds. So
don't matter. We got Flacco, dude.
yeah. Flacco's little ducks aren't going to get affected by the wind. But so 13-mile-an-hour wind isn't a major factor, but it is something that's going to. Yeah,
it's right there.
It's something that's
15 is the marker, right?
Yeah, that's the one where it really takes a turn.
Yeah. So it's
at 13,
right
it's
at
there.
that mark. So I expect this game to be ugly. What's the temperature and possible rain for this game?
41 degrees, so cold.
Yep.
And 2% chance of rain.
Yeah, so it's not going to rain, but it's going to be cold. It's, man, this is going to be an ugly game, I think.
I agree.
I'm not excited to start anybody in this game. I'm really not.
Nope.
The player I would be most excited to start in this game, I guess, has just got to be ETN. Like it's hard. You can't not start ETN based on what he's done this year. It just seems like that's where the Jacksonville touchdowns are happening. Is just ETN. They just seem to come to him. So definitely start him. They lost Kirk, so you want to be more excited about Ridley. But is Lawrence going to play today?
It does look like Lawrence is going to play today.
Yeah, man, I think that's a mistake on their part. I do. I would not play him today. I don't. With their lead on Jacksonville, I don't think they need to play him today.
Yeah, he's in.
Yeah. So I'm picking the Jags. I'm gonna pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick the Jags too. I do want to throw out that Elijah Moore has been getting a lot of targets from Joe Flacco.
Doing more with them too.
Yeah. So as long as Joe Flacco is the quarterback, Elijah Moore is somebody that you can play. So keep him on your radar.
Ooh, that was
but yeah, I will take the Jags as well.
Thank you. Thanks for your jam review.
Habanero jam, habanero apricot jam, so good.
All right, you guys ready for starts? Who's in? Who's out? All right, Trevor Lawrence is in. Derek Carr is in. Flacco is expected to be in.
Yeah,
and Geno Smith is a game time decision.
With the Flacco thing, also they waived PJ Walker.
Okay,
so he won't be going back to the practice squad after today. I think they've made their decision.
Yep. Running back Pacheco is out, so that's big news there.
Big news.
We haven't gone to that game yet, so we'll talk about it then. ETN is in. Breece Hall is in. Kenneth Walker expected to play, so that's something that was not.
Are they gonna have both of them? Is Charbonnet playing?
Charbonnet is also expected to play.
Yeah,
so
stay
looks
away.
like they're both in.
I don't want
careful.
I want no part of that backfield today.
Yeah, tough matchup as well. So
it'd be too hard to predict which one of them would score.
Yeah. Samaje Perine, who cares? And Aaron Jones still questionable. Wide receiver Noah Brown is in. Chris Olave is in. Amari Cooper is in. Tyler Boyd is in. On the out list, we have Shaheed, Palmer, and Christian Watson are all out. Tight ends, Schultz out. So Brevin Jordan is in there. Tyler Higbee is out. Taysom Hill is out. Juwan Johnson is in. Screw that guy. Dawson Knox is in. And Dallas Goedert is in. And that's a big deal.
Dallas Goedert coming back against the Cowboys, who are the team that broke his arm.
Oh, I didn't know
for that.
Yeah, so Little mini revenge game.
I don't know why.
I was like, what's that one mean?
He just finished his sit-em.
We should do that in front.
Yeah, I didn't have the idea until he was
Hear ye.
Pay attention. I like that.
So
All right.
did we pick this Jags-Browns game?
I think
or
we're all
what?
picking the Jags here.
Okay.
Yep.
Next up, Seahawks versus 49ers. Seahawks are plus 13.5. The over-under is 45.5, plus 525 if you're betting on the Seahawks, minus 750 if you're betting on the Niners.
And Niners are going to win this game, but that's way too big a spread.
I thought so.
For a divisional game, and the Seahawks are starting to play well again. Like, if I'm betting, I'm taking the Seahawks here.
You're betting with points.
With the points.
Yeah, to cover.
But to win, you got to take San Francisco
At home,
here.
yeah, against a team they've just dominated.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, I'm taking the 49ers too. Like that, no problem there.
Okay.
So here's what the most important thing I think about this game is don't read too much into what happened for DK Metcalf last week against the Cowboys. His usage didn't go up. He just had one of those games. Like I think he still only had 7 targets in the game.
So I do notice in your rankings you're a little farther down than most people on him. I mean,
He's still a start. If you're in 2 wide receiver leagues, he's still an automatic start. But I have him at 23, at wide receiver 23. And last week I had him at wide receiver 25 or 26. So I'm like, while I'm happy, that he produced, I'm not, going, okay, DK to the moon. I didn't think there was, if anything, honestly, the most actionable thing that I saw out of that game was that Jackson Smith and Jigba really seems to be taking over from Tyler Lockett, for Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of that too. But why are you so down on DK? Though?
It's not that I'm down on him.
It feels like
Why
it.
are you so down on DK, man?
I'm not.
What's
so,
your thing
like,
against
I'm
him?
not so down on DK actually. Like if you go
Why
look at,
do you not like him?
if you look at rankings by anybody else who does rankings, I was right in line with where people had DK Metcalf ranked, and right in line with where you should have him ranked this week. You shouldn't be going like, what has he done this year?
To me, he still feels like a high-end wide receiver too.
Yeah, that's
you're saying he's a low.
Oh well, no, I mean
wide
not
receiver
high end.
two,
I don't. Okay,
wide
so
receiver
you
three.
say,
I mean
okay.
that's not a huge difference.
You say high.
but-
Okay, you say high end wide receiver 2, right?
Right.
So what, to you, that's like what wide receiver
13, 14, 15.
So you'd have him over Mike Evans, Nico Collins,
No.
Devontae Adams.
Well, Nico Collins maybe just because it's the Jets.
Really?
Just because
No
it's the
way.
Jets.
He's the number.
Yeah,
no way.
probably.
He's the number 1 target now for Houston that just lost.
I agree.
Dell and Schultz, and he's already he's done it several times this year.
I give a lot of respect to Sauce.
Huh?
Sauce Gardner.
He's not playing
Is,
this well this
is
year.
this a bet? Is this a bet?
Yeah, I'll take.
We're trying to work
I'll
one,
take
but I don't know.
Collins. So I'll take Collins. I'll take Nico Collins over DK for sure.
No, I'm not trying.
Oh
no.
So you're wasting our time. Okay, so Devontae Adams. DK or Devontae?
Devontae is playing
Minnesota. It doesn't matter.
Okay, well,
It's Devontae
I guess
Adams
I'm
versus
taking
DK
Adams,
Metcalf. That's not a question. All right. Debo Samuel.
Ooh, after last week.
What do you mean after last
Yeah.
week? Again, still not a question. Puka Nacua. We're now at 16. Puka Nacua.
But these are now really tough choices. These are tough. This is right where I'd have him.
And that's not a high end number 2. That's not a high end number 2. That's a medium range number 2 now. And right there, Jalen Waddle,
Oh, I'd have him over Waddle.
Devonta Smith,
Definitely over
DeAndre
Smith.
Hopkins.
Definitely over.
Why? Why? Seriously, why?
Oh,
Based on last week, that's a mistake. That is a mistake. Literally,
Hopkins
that
Metcalf bet or what?
Dude, that was the second time in his career that he has scored 40 points. That is and in his career, he's only scored 30 points 5 times. He does this a couple of times a year, but DK Metcalf is not a consistent receiver. He's just not. He's a better version of Gabe Davis.
Really? Wow, that is not how I see him.
That's how I see him, and that's what do you and see that's the thing that's so mystifying about him to me is because do you know who the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy is on that team over the last 3 years? It's Tyler Lockett. It's not DK.
Not in a per game basis.
Yes, it is. On a per game
you're
basis.
sure on that?
Yes, I'm 100% positive because DK doesn't miss games either.
I'd have to look that up. But did we have a question?
Go ahead.
We did. We have Noah Brown or Flowers as flex.
Noah Brown.
Yeah. Oh, what? Again, the Jets. Like that's my instant answer is yes. Go Noah Brown, but against the Jets, man, like the defense is serious.
It's not as serious as you are making it out to be, dude. It's really not.
Like you could run on the Jets, you just can't throw on them.
You can. Yes, you can. People just usually doing it with tight ends. Yes, you can. You can still you can throw on the Jets too.
That scares me, man.
But I mean,
Noah Brown or who?
Okay, so here's the thing, though.
Flowers.
And I'm like I've just gotten.
That's a really tough choice, man. I
out on
can see why
Flowers.
you're asking on that.
Just because that, like, to me, the Baltimore passing offense looks exactly the same as it has the last several years. Like, to me, there's like I can't tell a difference between the Baltimore offense this year and the last few years. They looked exactly the same to me. So I have no confidence in Baltimore receivers not named Mark Andrews.
Yeah, Sauce is going to be on Nico, so I'm gonna. I'd say Noah Brown, but man, that is a real tough choice, brother. That's I can see why you're getting opinions.
It is a flex decision. So what I like to do in those positions is, like, first of all, you've got two guys who you know are going to get some work. They're going to get targets. So I would rather take the guy I think is more likely to score. And when the Ravens get in to score, it's not going to be from their passing game.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It's going to be Gus or it's going to be Lamar. So that's the problem that I have. And Noah Brown, like, Zay Flowers has 0 career games with 100 yards. Noah Brown has 2 of them in the last 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So which game were we on? We were on San Francisco, right?
Yeah, we're taking the Niners.
Yeah, we're all in the Niners. Of course, you're starting McCaffrey and all that. So.
Yeah, I'm starting Debo over Ayuk, and just like we got into a little thing on DK Metcalf, Brandon Ayuk or DK Metcalf.
Ayuk.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ayuk this week.
Yeah.
No, you're.
Every week. Every week. It's every week. Here.
That's a matchup to me.
Here, hold on a second.
I was pulling up DK stuff and I got distracted.
They're going at it right now
because he's so wrong on DK Metcalf. It's insane.
Oh my goodness.
So he's ranked wide receiver 18 this year. After a 40-point performance, he's still wide receiver 18.
And is that on Geno or is that on DK?
Oh, come on, dude. He did this with Russ too. Like, I mean,
so you don't see DK as an alpha number one wide receiver?
No, I don't. Okay. I don't. I would no in my dynasty league. If someone was willing to pay me wide receiver 1 capital for him, buy DK.
You know, I've had Lockett the last 2 seasons, and I think there are games where Metcalf will outthrow him or outscore him. But Lockett is more consistent.
He's more consistent. He is more consistent. And so DK.
There'll be games where Metcalf doesn't catch a ball.
So Metcalf this year, which has been what we think is a disappointing year for him.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
He has scored double-digit fantasy points every single week but 2. There are only 2 weeks where he scored 6 points.
And how many times has he hit 20?
17, 16, 20. Twice.
Yeah, twice.
So you're not happy with a wide receiver giving you 13,
I
17,
am as
12?
a mid-range 2. I am. Yes, as a mid-range number 2, I am.
Okay, we see him very differently.
But to me, and he's right at the cusp. He's averaging 15 PPR points, and that's what, for me, that is a high-end number 2. But he's doing that coming off of a game where he got 3 games worth of points. So I'm not jumping him up, dude. And like if you look at his targets, he's got more than 10 targets twice this year, and that game he just scored 3 touchdowns on, 8 targets, 8, and one of them was a 70-yard touchdown. That typically most of the time that is a 20. Like he catches the ball and one of the 2 defenders tackles him rather than like them hitting each other or just missing. It's just, and then also he got a 1-yard touchdown.
Who are you talking about again?
DK. Okay. And then he got a 1-yard touchdown after that after that replay took the touchdown away from Jackson Smith and Jigba. So it was just fluky. He didn't do anything out of the ordinary for DK other than score last week. So I'm not moving him above other guys. To me, he's not above Puka.
Lockett has had 2 games where he's targeted 10 times. He's been targeted less.
Lockett is fading. Lockett is a different conversation now. If you want to compare Lockett to DK, don't do it this year. Do it the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And also, and Lockett is a guy who scores up until this year, and even he still might do it this year, is a guy who scores 10 touchdowns a year. DK scored 3 touchdowns last week, has 6 now on the year.
So
And probably won't get 10. Won't get to 10 this year.
Okay, so we have to have a bet here. So if I take DK this week, would you want? I'm going to give you
I'll
choice
give the option this time.
4.
Ooh.
I'll give you 4 choices that you will all have ranked above DK.
Sure.
All right. Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Hopkins, and Rashee Rice.
I'll take Devonta Smith.
Okay. Devontae Smith versus DK Metcalf. Put it on the board for a pie.
That feels good. Go Eagles!
What
Fly
flavor
Eagles,
do you want
fly!
next week?
Huh?
No, what flavor next week?
Based on, like honestly, dude, especially based on how it wasn't. Deron Bland got roasted by all 3 Seahawks receivers last week. All 3 of them. If that like Lockett was toasting him for like 12, 15 yard gains, and I just Gilmore's going to be on AJ Brown, and Bland's going to be on Devonta Smith, and I fear for him.
I don't think Metcalf's gonna do it for you this week, bro.
All right.
Playing against the Niners. Woo. All right.
Well, one of his, he has, if you count the playoffs, he has 3 career 40-point games. The third one is last year's wild card game against the 49ers in San Francisco.
Metcalf?
Yes. So he can do it. He can do. I feel like I'm like DK hating right now, and I certainly don't hate DK, but I don't love him like more than like 15 receivers in the league. Yeah. I just don't. To me, he's I'm happy to have him on my team for the right value.
Okay. And yeah, we just see him differently. I see him as an alpha wide receiver with a mediocre quarterback throwing to him. You know?
I don't, because to me, like Russ is not a mediocre quarterback. Like Russ is an above average quarterback for sure. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He led a team to a Super back and
but it's hard to look at Russ the way he was. He has really changed our opinion of him in the last 2 years.
And that's because
he's a whole different man.
That's because he should shut up. People have learned that he's a dork.
Yeah.
And that's fun. Honestly, to be honest with you, as much as he gets made fun of, I actually like him more.
Okay.
Because
give him some personality. I got it.
Well, he's got a dorky personality. I don't like that he's like kind of a dork / jerk. Like that part is like choose one, be a dork or be a jerk, you know. Right. But yeah, I think some of the stuff that he does is funny, and also it's so funny because up until last week, he's playing better quarterback than anybody in the league. Like silently, because he's not throwing for 4 touchdowns a game, he's not throwing for 300 yards a game, but it was game after game after game of completing 65 to 70% of his passes, 250 plus yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions.
And I just want to point out though that watching ESPN this week, he's one of those guys that it depends on which analyst is talking about him.
Yeah.
Because some are like, oh, yeah, Russ is great. Look at him this year. And others are like, look how lucky he's getting. He is not that good. He's playing horrible. Like, I've heard both ends of the spectrum on ESPN this week.
I've seen him get unlucky a lot.
I'm just, like say I haven't watched a lot of those games. I'm just saying what I'm hearing is very wide variety on him.
And you know what I think maybe the thing about that is that I don't think he's ever he was never going to be the quarterback that consistently threw for over 300 yards, right? That was kind of fluky stuff that would happen in Seattle sometimes when they get hot. But he is to me an above average game managing quarterback. Has very good pocket.
That's a good way to put it.
He has very good pocket presence, and he's 35 now, so he doesn't have the escapability that he used to have.
But he's been running a lot,
and he's had to. But things don't look as fluid as maybe they could be, but I think that offense is going to continue to get better. I do. I think Russ is somebody who's got another Super Bowl. Not like he's going to win a Super Bowl, not like he's even going to get there, but he is going to challenge for another Super Bowl before he's done.
All right. What's our question, Ray?
Sutton or Gus Edwards?
Sutton.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that feels bad to say because like we were just talking about how if the Ravens are going to score, they're going to score through Gus Edwards. So Gus Edwards could score you 2 touchdowns, but Cortland Sutton has been scoring you touchdowns, and he's the number 1 option on his team.
And he's just been remarkably consistent this year.
And the matchup is just juicy. They're playing against the Chargers today. It doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah.
So with that, I think we're all going Niners. Bezzy, make your pick. Next up is the Minnesota Vikings versus Raiders. Vikings -3, over-unders 40.5. -155 if you're betting on the Vikings, +130 if you're betting on the Raiders. I need the Vikings to lose today.
The Raiders are getting disrespected, dude.
Well, and the funny thing is, I just coming into this game, like I'm like, can Dobby do it? You know what I mean? This is with Dobbs with off of a bye week. He's had some time to really absorb this system, and now you've got Jefferson coming back. I don't know, man. Like I feel like there's potential there. Now, am I super scared that Dobbs can come out, throw a touchdown and get benched, or throw an interception and get benched? Yeah, that could totally happen too.
He's been turning the ball over a lot.
Well, just last week was 4 interceptions.
That was interceptions, but he's been turning the ball over a lot with fumbles and stuff like that.
He's trying too hard because he doesn't know the system. Yeah, I know.
Oh well, he's a little loose with the ball.
Yeah.
He's just a little loose for a guy who doesn't have full command of an offense. He's a little cavalier with the ball.
I think part of that though is like he wants to make sure he's a starter next year somewhere. You know, I think that's part of it. So he's trying to do more than what he should be doing, and that's what's causing errors.
Yeah. And he has a bye week now to really kind of
both teams coming off
Jefferson coming back. So I don't know. I'm very interested in this game because I just want to see what happens.
I'm super interested too to see what happens, and like just to see what the Raiders are going to do coming off a bye with their new coaching staff, because this is their first opportunity to implement anything.
Yeah.
So
coaching staff.
I'm excited to see what they're going to do. Yeah. I like Antonio Pierce. I like Antonio Pierce a lot. So like I'm one of those people rooting for him to get the job. So I'm picking the Raiders because in order for him to get the job, they're going to have to win some of these games.
All right.
And this is one of them. You got to win this game at home coming off a bye against a team who's got a shot at the playoffs.
Yep. I'm going to take Dobby. I'm going to take I have a good feeling about Minnesota, man.
I don't. That's weird that you do because I don't actually.
I can't. It's such a coin flip. Like it could be really good or really bad.
The only thing to me the only thing in fantasy that's really good that you can count on from them is Hawk. Like you can count like the one thing that you can count on from Dobbs, like he might turn the ball over, he might not turn the ball over, he's gonna throw the ball to the tight end.
Yes, he is.
40% of the time, it works every time.
Yep,
that's
every time.
That's Dobbs's philosophy on tight ends. 40% of the time, it works every time. No, that's the one thing, the guarantee from this game. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Madison. Because it seems like they figured out before the bye, okay, he's the guy. Like, you know,
yes.
So I've been saying this all year. They needed to get him more involved in the passing game. They did that before the bye. So I'd like to see them continue doing that. Madison is Madison's a definite start for me in 2 running back, and he's a definite start for me at running back. He's a top 24 running back, so you're going to start him today for sure. To me,
I agree. All right,
next game. Buffalo versus KC.
Oh, I'm sorry, real quick. Michael Mayer, everybody. Michael Mayer, the tight end, the rookie tight end. He's another rookie tight end that's been awesome. Like he was actually drafted first of all the tight ends, I believe. No, was it Kincaid? Kincaid was first. I think Kincaid was first, and maybe Mayer was second. But I'm pretty sure he went before Laporta. Like the Raiders could have taken Laporta, and they took Michael Mayer. I'm pretty sure. I'd have to double check that. He has been getting more involved. He's athletic. He can score. He's actually scored already. He's $2,800 on DraftKings today. I like him a lot.
Is that a weak matchup as well? Is Minnesota weak against tight end?
Okay. They're like 18,
middle
20.
Middle of the pack. Okay.
Yeah, you're not worried about them.
Gotcha.
And you know their focus is going to be on Devontae. So
all right. Yeah, a lot of people streaming tight ends out there, so we're giving you some options this week.
So next up, Buffalo versus KC. Buffalo's at +2. Over-under's 49. Whew. I think it's way high at the under. +110 on Bills and -130 on the Chiefs.
This is the game I'm most excited to watch today. Obviously the Cowboys game, but that's going to be tense for me. This is the game that I'm most excited to just like. If I wasn't having my son's birthday party today, would be most excited to just sit down and not pay attention to anything and just watch this game because I think both of these teams are just going to bring it today. Like the Chiefs they need this game to get the 1 seed, which is really important to them. And the Bills have to win, period. They just have to win. They have to win.
Agreed.
So I love Stephon Diggs today.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I do. Because I think they have to score points. I think they're going to play their best game today. I do.
It does feel that way. Like I feel like I kind of want to take the Bills here. Mm-hmm. But man, Kansas City at home,
they lost to the Lions earlier at home.
Yeah, that's true. Man, this is a tough one for me. I think I will take the Chiefs, but man, and so who are we starting on the Chiefs? I mean, obviously you got Kelsey, obviously Mahomes. Rashee Rice is actually an option now.
Yeah, to me, you're going to start I can't find 24 guys I'd rather start than Rashee Rice today.
Okay.
He's up there now. He's done it consistently for the last couple weeks. I think we're at 8+ targets in 3 consecutive weeks.
Okay.
And he just looks awesome with the ball in his hand. And Travis Kelce hasn't been getting the usage. That's the biggest thing is that the ascension of Rashee Rice has actually affected the target share of Travis Kelce. And no receiver's done that since Tyreek Hill.
All right.
So that's the thing for me that I like about him.
What about those running backs now? With Pacheco out, we've got...
That's why I'm going to pick the Bills in this game. That's actually why I'm picking the Bills, because I just don't like the Chiefs. I don't think they're going to be able to run the football. And that's been the best part of their offense this year, has been their ability to run the football. Pacheco has been amazing. So I think they're going to struggle today.
You know what? I'm going to change my vote. I'm going to vote for I'm going to go for the Bills.
Yay! And I say yay because now I have my lone wolf game, and it's on the Chiefs.
That's a good.
That's a good one, dude.
That's a good one. But
you got Bezzy with you.
Yeah.
Everything says.
I told Bezzy he don't count this year, though.
That's right. You count next year, Bez.
Yeah, you count next year, Bezzy. You don't count this year. But we're still tracking you. So next up, we got the Broncos versus the Chargers. Broncos +3, over-unders 45, +136 on the Broncos, -162 on the Chargers.
I'm sorry, what was the line again?
The over-under?
No,
the 45. The over-under is 45.
No, the point spread.
Margin. What's the margin?
The money line, 136.
No, I'm sorry. The
point spread is +3. Yeah,
there you go.
Thank you.
+3. Okay, so that's how little faith the people have in the Chargers. Oh, question.
Yeah, running back, option 2, Ty Pierce or Rohan Johnson?
I would rather play Roshan. Tajay Spears, this is a good game to play him in if you have to, because he's the receiving back in Tennessee and you expect them to be behind to Miami on Monday night. But Roshan Johnson was starting, we talked about this earlier, was starting to take over before the bye. They just had the bye. This is typically when those types of shifts happen. Either one of those guys is a gamble. I'd rather gamble on the guy that I think is about to get 15+ touches than the guy that I think might do something with the touches he's already getting, because Derrick Henry is going to be in the game. So I wouldn't expect Tajay Spears to get more than his usual amount of touches, whereas I do with Roshan.
Yeah, that's a real tough one, man. I can see why you're asking on that one. I'm going to have to agree with Ken on this one, just because I think he's going to get more touches. But I really like Spears and wouldn't be surprised if he was better. I can see why you're asking the question.
Yeah. Spears is the more explosive player.
Absolutely.
But I love both of these guys. I think both of these guys have tremendous futures in front of them. But today, I would rather play Roshan.
All right.
That's where I'm at.
All right, back to the question? Broncos in, huh?
Who is that question from?
Juan. Juan's asked 2 questions today. So back on the Broncos and Chargers.
He's trying to make sure he gets in.
I like it.
Dude, he's on there. He's there.
I know, dude.
You know what?
Which team is him?
Honestly, that's
Murder
the best.
Villains.
Murder Villains.
Yeah, honestly, Juan's the best. Like, because he's been watching the podcast now for 2 years, and he has consistently gotten better.
Yes, he has.
It's awesome. It's awesome, dude. That makes us feel really good.
Yeah,
because like he's taken advice from us and used it against us.
Broncos and Chargers.
Love Keenan Allen today. Eckler looks 45.
Well, we got to talk about Eckler. They actually came out and said that he's split in time today.
Who did?
No, there was this morning. It was an alert this morning.
There was an alert this morning
that said the coach said that they're going to be splitting time with Kelly and the other one,
Spiller.
Somebody.
Isaiah Spiller.
I'll try to look it up real quick.
There was one other running back that's on their roster. I just forget who he is. I think they had a rookie too. I can't remember his name. It's like Demario something or.
Chargers running back Austin Eckler will split carries today with Joshua Kelly and Isaiah Spiller.
Yeah, Spiller. Okay, that's news that makes you want to sit Eckler for sure. Yeah. He's not been very good. So like, if you need to win today, don't count on Austin Eckler.
Yeah, gosh dang, that's weird to say, isn't it?
Yeah,
that is strange to say.
That feels bad.
But
isn't it? It's so crazy. He's the same age as Kamara.
Yeah,
it's so crazy because like 10, let's say we're week 14 now, so say 18 weeks ago, like you could not have traded Alvin Kamara to get Austin Eckler in like any kind of a deal, and now it's reverse.
Yep.
So
weird, huh?
It is just crazy because we expected this Chargers offense with Kellen Moore to just go to the moon, and Austin Eckler to just like keep doing Austin Eckler things, but it just hasn't worked out that way. Yeah. He gets less touches in this offense than he did previously, and he's done less with them. So it's
who's the other receiving option for the Chargers right now?
Gerald Everett, the tight end.
Yes, Everett's going to have a good day. And that's something we need to throw out there. Is Everett has an excellent? Yeah, he has an excellent matchup this week. And mixed with being basically one of the only targets for Herbert.
For instance, Dallas Goedert is coming back, and based on where Dallas Goedert was drafted, a lot of people were probably like waiting for him to come back. I'd rather start Everett today.
Yeah,
if Everett was available, I'd rather start Everett.
Yeah, the matchup's there.
I have Goddard ranked higher just because his ceiling is higher than Gerald Everett, and because of his known usage, which is actually one of the things that actually like now I'm talking about it. I'm like, ooh, Devonta Smith, like he goes down when Dallas Goedert's back, but it's not bad. It's not terrible. Anyway, man, I don't even know who else they have because Josh Palmer was out. Guyton is back, right? I think Guyton's back.
Guyton,
yeah,
and
that's it. But I mean, you don't like. I'm not excited to start Justin Herbert today. It's Keenan Allen on that offense, and that's it. That's it for me. I'm moving on.
Yeah.
And on the other side, super excited about Javonte Williams today, and excited about any other pieces? No, but definitely, still hoping for something out of Marvin Mims. Because they keep using him in interesting ways. So I'm just waiting for his actual overall usage to go up, because that'll be like, because what it is like he's got to be making like mental mistakes that keep him from being on the field all the time, because they are putting the ball in his hand. It's clear that they want the ball in his hands, but they can't trust him yet. So like he is somebody I am watching.
And that's been the case all season.
It has been the case all season, but he's a rookie. Yeah. So,
but it makes me think he might be a knucklehead.
He could be. Yeah. I agree. 100%. I agree. 100%. But I'm still watching him nonetheless.
Fair enough.
Because he's a rookie. And then picking the Chargers at home. Like it feels honestly, kind of feels bad.
We talked about Sutton a little bit. You're gonna start Sutton.
No, I'm not. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna pick the Chargers at home. Yeah,
Brian,
feels bad.
Wow, tough one.
It's so tough.
Give me Denver.
Ooh. Okay.
We're on the opposite sides a lot today.
Are we? No, one of us is going to suck next week.
I'm going to give Brian the lone wolf there.
I don't know
So that's it for the afternoon games. We're going to go ahead and we're going to switch it up over here to our DraftKings lineup. Yeah.
How'd we do last week?
Last week, Brian scored 164.96. He's our last week's winner. 141.76 was you, Ken, and I was at 130.26.
All of those are very respectable numbers.
How many weeks in a row have I won?
Well, you've only lost 3. That might weeks in a row. Let's see here. I'll give you a quick count. Let me see. You have won in a row 7.
Nice. I'm on a hot streak, people.
No. So it looks like I'll
lead us off with your cash lineup.
You got it. All right. So for cash this week, it feels like Justin Fields is the way to go. Fields stacked up with DJ Moore is just feels good. Feels like that's an obvious one. McCaffrey is always great, but he has a great matchup this week as well. So I had to fit him in there. In order to squeeze him in there, I had to save some money with Zach Moss. He had the opportunities last week. He didn't do much with them, but he had the opportunities, so maybe he'll do better this week. Drake London is another money saver for me, but he's one of those explosive players that, he has bad weeks, but when he has good weeks, he can have really good weeks.
He has a lot of targets.
And he's going up against a defense that gives it up, so...
He was how much this week?
4,600. So pretty cheap.
Really good.
Another saver for me is Jonathan Mingo. We talked about him a little earlier. I just feel like he's getting too many targets to be at 3,500. So I think he can outperform that price pretty well. Tight end. Oh, sorry, I switched this. Let me change that. I had Isaiah Likely in there, but I decided that I like Gerald Everett better. And so I'm going to go with Gerald Everett as my tight end. More of a sure thing, I think. My flex, what the heck? I thought I changed that. I did change that. Okay. My flex, I was choosing between Josh Jacobs and Brandon Ayuk. And I'm going to go ahead and go with Ayuk this week. And the Browns seem to be an obvious choice at DST. It's a little bit tougher now that Lawrence is actually going to play. But between that defense and the weather, 3,000 is too low a price. So that's my lineup.
Should be pretty good based on his record. All right, I'll go next. I had the other obvious choice at quarterback this week. I had Brock Purdy, at 6,500. My running backs are Christian McCaffrey and then Alexander Mattison at 5,500. Just because the Raiders defense has been pretty soft against the run. And like we were talking about earlier, it seems like Madison is kind of just taken over finally at running back. At wide receiver, for $8,800, I've got Stephon Diggs. Because I just feel like he's going to get a monster amount of targets today. Their best route to winning is Stephon Diggs getting the ball in his hands a lot. So I think that's what they're going to do. I'm going to stack back against him with Rashee Rice for $5,400. My third wide receiver is Jackson Smith-Njigba, and I love where his trajectory is going right now. I'm in love with JSN right now.
Another rookie coming on at the end of the season.
And the rest of his playoff schedule is just it's so good. But anyway, him against San Francisco today, I think the focus is probably going to be on DK, and he's been getting open against everybody, so I love him. My tight end, Tyler Conklin, at $3,000.
Wow.
Playing at home against Houston. The weather isn't as bad as we thought it was going to be, so I'm excited about that. I've also got Drake London at $4,600. And then my defense is the Jets at home.
Yep.
For $2,900. And I used up all of my dollars this week.
Wow. Okay, so I too used up my entire salary, and I am starting Justin Fields as quarterback. Nice. Then I got McCaffrey. And I'm not ready to give up on Singletary yet, so I picked up Singletary, Nakua, DJ Moore, and London with Hudson.
So we all have Drake London,
Freeman, and the Falcons defense.
So you went with Fields too?
Yes.
And we all have McCaffrey?
Yes.
And
you got Jamar Chase in his. He's going to win.
Well, that's a different lineup. That's not my lineup.
I'm sorry, which one did you just read?
This one right here.
Ooh, the Freeman one's interesting. The Royce Freeman.
Royce.
Yeah, he's got Royce Freeman in his lineup. Yeah.
Dirt cheap, right?
Yeah.
Like 4,000 maybe.
Yeah.
I don't remember how
It
much
has
it
to be
was.
down there based on the usage that Kyron's getting the last couple of weeks. That's got to be down there. That scares
And
me.
then to snake it back over, I have for my tournament lineup, I have Stafford, Williams, Gus Edwards, Nakua, Beckham, Atwell. I think Atwell's going to get a lot of targets today. And then you guys talked about Likely earlier. I actually had him this tournament. I had him in there before that. And then McCaffrey and the Vikings.
All right.
And for me, I played the other obvious quarterback in my tournament lineup because I feel like if you want 25 points, go with Brock Purdy. If you want a chance for 40, go with Justin Fields. So I've got Justin Fields at 6,800. At running back, I've got Joe Mixon, who's probably like one of my favorite plays. If I had Joe Mixon, I'd be feeling real safe this week. Zach Moss at 5,900. My receivers to stack with my quarterback DJ Moore at 65, and then I've got Michael Pittman Jr. at 7,300.
Nice one.
I've got JSN again at 4,100. He's just one of my favorite plays of the week. He's so cheap. I don't think we're going to see him, cheap for very much longer. So if you can play JSN for under $5,000, enjoy it. It's not going to last. Tyler Conklin is my favorite tight end start of the week because it's so cheap and he's consistent with a chance to score. Flexing Chris Olave at 7,000, and then I've got the Raiders defense at 3,200 because Dobbs could turn the ball over 5 times.
Very true. Let's see. My tournament lineup. I'm looking at it. It is definitely a hit or miss lineup. I might make a couple of changes here, but I do want to stack the Mahomes game. We're going to go with Mahomes and Travis Kelce as my stack. Very expensive stack, so the rest of my guys are pretty budget here. We're going to go with Zach Moss. We're going to go with Javonte Williams. Greg Davis, we all know he is Mr. Hit or Miss, so I'm hoping he hits today, and he's the guy that gets it instead of Diggs, or at least the long touchdowns. Drake London, again, just too cheap to pass up. Jonathan Mingo, same, just too cheap at where he's at. Cortland Sutton.
3,500, right, for Mingo?
Yes.
Yeah, he's one of the best punt plays you can make this week.
Yes. And then Cortland Sutton at 6,100. He's got a good matchup this week, probably guaranteed to score. And then we've got the Bears defense, just in case. They're dirt cheap, by the way.
Yeah, that's a punt.
Yeah, actually, I have 200 left. I might move it up to something else. Oh no, I'm keeping it. All right.
So that's it for our DraftKings. Back to the afternoon game, or the evening game, the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Cowboys. Eagles are at +3. Over-unders at 51.5. +150 if you're betting on the Eagles, and -180 if you're betting on the Cowboys. That over-under seems a little too high.
Oh, no, they're going to score today.
Yeah, you think so?
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's predicting a big shootout today. And,
if I was setting the over-under on this one, if I was Vegas, it'd be like 55.5.
Wow. You'd be gambling. You'd have a lot of people betting the under.
Oh, yeah, they may be wrong. Because these teams don't get together and score less than
20.
55 points.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
That's a history.
I would like to actually see the last time these two teams played and scored less than 55 combined points. Actually, no, it might have been the last time because I think it was 28-23. They have 51.
I don't know.
But that's 50 is right. But that's where it should be. What's the over under?
51.5.
51.5.
Yeah, that's where it should be.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be at least that much.
So if we're going to have a big offensive extravaganza here, then I mean we're just starting anybody. Is there anybody out there that
you should start
you
everybody
don't want to start?
Now,
I think I have Swift on the bench.
anybody I don't want to start in this game? Oh no, we told you to start Swift, so
Let me see.
we definitely told you to.
Swift is a good start.
He's the one that I'm not super excited about because the
who?
is Swift.
Okay.
Because the Cowboys haven't been giving up rushing scores. They've been beatable through the air, but they haven't given up a bunch of rushing scores. So if the rushing scores are going to happen, it's going to be Jalen Hurts, and which is what he does for the Eagles anyway. He's got I don't know how many more rushing touchdowns that he has than Swift, but it's probably close to double. He's got 12, I think, on the year, and I don't think Swift has more than 6. So that would be the one piece. But AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert coming right off the IR, definitely starting him. Like to me, he's right in the top 10 range. And then on the other side, man, it's this is one of the things I feel smartest about this year is when things were looking bad for the Browns, I sold Amari Cooper for a second-round draft pick. And then about 3 weeks ago, I bought Brandon Cooks with a third-round draft pick.
Nice. And Cooks had a really bad start of the year, but he's really been coming on the last 3 or 4 weeks. So
and it's going to continue. Dak's playing better than everybody at quarterback right now. It's awesome to see, honestly.
He's had really great matchups too, but
he played well in the Philly game. He's only played bad in the San Francisco game. He had a bad game against San Francisco. That's it. That one bad game. He has been roasting everybody else.
All right. So who are you picking?
Gee, I don't know. Hey, no, we're at home. Honestly, to be honest with you, like this, I talked about this at the beginning of the year. The Eagles had a tougher schedule than the Cowboys do, just with the way everything lined up. Like they just had to play San Francisco on rest. Now they're playing Dallas on rest. Like it's just, if the Eagles win this game, like it's going to be really close, I think, and it'll just be another one of those like, how do they pull it off type Philly wins. And that's the thing. That's another thing about them this year is they've had a lot more battles this year than they did last year. They were just, Jalen Hurts wasn't even playing fourth quarters last year. Yep. So no, I don't expect the Eagles to win this game. This is not just a homer pick. I actually do think the Cowboys are they are peaking, hopefully not like done peaking and being, themselves and peaking in the middle of December instead of January, but they do that. So like this is when the Cowboys win their biggest games is the middle of December.
Their Super Bowl.
What do you think, Brian? What do you think?
Do.
Man, this is a tough one for me. This is one of those games that I'm probably going to pick the home team, whoever the home team is. So that's what I think I'm going to do today with Dallas. But man, this is a true. We've had. I guess I've said this 3 or 4 times now. We've had some hard games to pick this week, but yeah, I'm going to go with Dallas and play everybody I can in this game.
I hope Ken's right. I hope this is a high scoring game. But I don't think the Eagles have really been scoring all that much. But
they haven't been scoring Cowboys like they were last year. They have not been just blowing the top off of games like they were last year. And I don't know what that's about, to be honest with you. But they've been more methodical.
Next up, we got Tennessee Titans moving into the Monday night games. Tennessee Titans versus the Dolphins. Tennessee's plus 13.5. Over-unders at 46. Money line's at 600. 900. Minus 900 if you're on the Dolphins.
Yeah, because the Dolphins are going to roll. Oh, my God.
Yes, they are. I mean, that's what they've been doing this year is that they're like the Cowboys in the AFC, where they're just picking on bad teams.
Yeah.
And it's funny is like, even after last week's game, people still aren't giving the Cowboys credit for having won a tough game. They were down 2 scores in to a team that is like fighting for its life and was above 500 when we beat them, and they came back and won that game. And Gino played like one of the best games of his life.
Yeah, he did play well,
and the Cowboys still won.
All right.
So the Dolphins are the same way. The Dolphins are picking on people, and like they need this isn't their game, but they need to win one of those games, and this isn't it. They're gonna roll.
Miami. I mean, you're starting both running backs, you're starting both receivers, and you're starting Tua. They don't really have a tight end, do they?
You're starting both running backs too. Like I
started with both running backs.
Yeah, I couldn't. I couldn't find 12 guys that I wanted to start over both Miami running backs.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah, Devon Achane is just.
Now Tennessee has been classically a pass funnel defense. So I mean, do you feel like maybe the running backs might take a little bit of a back seat today? Or tomorrow?
So the thing about the Miami game is the Miami offense is those running back scores. They're not coming inside the 10 or the 5. They're getting you from 20 plus.
Right.
So while I don't expect them to get in and like pound away a couple of scores, Like, I don't think the Titans are any more equipped defensively to stop the explosive things that their running backs are able to do, because they're not trying to beat you by running up the middle. That's right. And like teams that are that score a lot of points on the ground, that is typically how they do it. Is they run you over, they maul you with their offensive line, but they're not going to do that. One thing we should check is their left tackle again, Teron Armstead. He was injured again. He was questionable going into this week. He's the one thing, like, if he doesn't play, their running game suffers more than their passing game does, because their passing game has Tyreek Hill. Right. So,
and they've got a weak opponent this week, so I mean, it shouldn't matter too much, but it is definitely something to monitor.
Right. And their defense, honestly, Miami's defense has been playing much better.
Yes. Ever since what's his name? The
Jalen Ramsey.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, ever since Ramsey got in there, man.
Yes. And you know what's funny is that was another one of the smartest things I feel like I've done this season is I saw that headline that Ramsey was back in practice, instantly snapped up the Miami defense because I looked at their schedule, and they've just gone off since then.
Yeah, they've been great.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Like, Miami to me is the number one defense to have going into the playoffs. It's not the Cowboys.
Tennessee. I mean, who do we start? I mean, you kind of have to start
Hopkins.
Henry.
You're gonna start Hopkins.
Hopkins.
You're not excited about starting Derrick Henry.
No, you're not. But
no.
I mean,
but you have to.
He's still a top 24 running back.
Because the thing is when you look at what he's doing, like they've been ramping him up, and if Miami doesn't, like if Teron Armstead doesn't play and Miami doesn't just jump in front of Tennessee, and Derrick Henry has an opportunity to carry the ball 15 plus times, he'll be successful. He will.
There you go. But pretty much not touching anybody else on that offense, and
Hopkins.
Yeah, Hopkins and Henry.
Yeah.
And I'll take Miami. Let's move on.
Oh, real quick, I wanted to say, Will Levis isn't producing fantasy wise. He looks good to me. I like what I see when I watch Will Levis play, and like I think he's going to be
future.
I think he's going to be an excellent quarterback. Not just good. I think he's going to be an excellent quarterback. And there was a play where I think Hopkins ran the wrong route or saw something different than Levis did, and then over on the sideline, Levis was fucking laying into Hopkins, and I was like, yeah,
that's impressive.
That's impressive because Hopkins is a dude, you know.
Yeah.
So, and
it's usually the other way around. It's usually Hopkins yelling at the quarterback.
Right. So like they to me, like, because you know that Hopkins is that kind of guy, I can't imagine that Levis would just go up and put him on blast like that unless they had some kind of rapport that made him think it was okay. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like I'm excited for the rest of the season for DeAndre Hopkins, and I'm excited to watch Will Levis, and this is a game where he'll have a chance to do well.
Right on.
So next up, we got the Green Bay Packers, the double Monday night tomorrow against the Giants.
So weird. Hate it so much.
Packers are at -6.5. Over-unders is 37. Money lines -310 and +250 if you're betting on the Giants.
Packers for sure.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say Packers for sure.
Really? You like what the Giants are doing?
No.
Well, I'm just saying the Packers have been playing a lot stronger football.
Jordan Love has been playing excellent football, and him and Watson have been connecting in ways that they weren't able to earlier in the year. There was a lot of like miscommunications and like slightly overthrown balls, or I thought you were going here type situations. And the last few weeks, they've really like been hitting the mark. So with Watson out this week, I am a little concerned with Green Bay's ability to score 25, 30 points. So I think this is going to be a close game. That's the reason I say I'm just not automatically on the Packers, because in a close game, like, they're still a young team that can make mistakes. He's a young quarterback, doesn't have a whole lot of experience. And the Giants defense is not a pushover. They're not. They're actually pretty good. I brought his name up a few times, but Kayvon Thibodeau, like, he's a stud. A stud defensive end, for sure. And Danny Tommy DeVito, man.
Oh, yeah.
Danny Tommy
Big stud.
DeVito. I like him a lot, actually. He's actually opened up the New York offense. He's made some of their receivers playable. He's made Jalen Hyatt watchable. And that's the thing that I if I'm watching this game, that's what I'm most excited about, is to see if Jalen Hyatt's usage continues. He was the Biletnikoff Award winner last year in college football. Which I personally don't think he would have won if Tillman hadn't gotten hurt, but whatever, that's another story. I think the last game he was 5 catches on 5 targets for over 100 yards. He's dangerous. So excited for him.
Cool.
But yeah, picking Packers. I'm picking the Packers in a close game. Based on how they've been winning lately, you would think that this is going to be a blowout, automatic. It would not surprise me if the Giants won this game.
So moving on to Thursday night, and remember these next 3 picks are handicap picks. We're so far removed from them, but this is what we think as of today. The Chargers versus the Raiders. Chargers is -4, and the over/under is 42.5. No money line has been made.
All right, so if Herbert gets hurt today, I'll pick the Raiders.
Sorry, that was Chargers Raiders, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take Chargers.
Okay.
That's the only way you're picking the Raiders in that game, right? Is if Herbert gets hurt today.
Pretty much.
And then on Saturday, we have Vikings versus the Bengals.
Saturday games. That means we're getting close to the playoffs.
Yeah. Vikings -1, over/under is 40.5. And for whatever reason, this game does have a money line. -118 if you're betting on the Vikings, -102 if you're betting on the Bengals. That must mean people are already taking bets on this game versus the other one.
And I'm inclined to pick the Bengals. It's based on the way that I've already, shown that I see things going. I'm going to pick the Bengals in this game.
Vikings for me.
Because I think and that makes sense because you're picking the Colts over the Bengals and you're picking the Vikings over the Raiders. So why would you pick the Bengals over the Vikings on Thursday or Saturday? And I see it the opposite way. I see the Bengals winning. I see the Vikings losing.
Well, and this is a game, my opinion could totally change depending on what happens this week. So.
Yeah.
And the last Saturday game, we have Broncos versus the Lions. Again, Broncos +4.5, over/under is 47.5. Again, this game has the money line, +170 and -205 for the Lions.
I'll take the Lions.
I will also take the Lions.
Yeah, I think we all take the Lions on this one. And that is it, everybody. That concludes the podcast.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks
Absolutely.
for being here. Just in
Good
time
luck.
for
Make
you
those playoffs.
to make the playoffs. Last game of the
Get
season.
it, Juan. Get it.
Oh, we got one
Football
last
time.
question.
Oh, we got a question. Sneak them in.
Noah Brown, Hyatt, or Hubbard at flex?
Noah Brown.
Over Chuba, you think?
Yeah. On the flex, because I want a ceiling play.
That was exactly what I was going to say. Is if it depends on where you're at. If you're favored, I'd go with Chuba Hubbard. I'd go with the safer play of Hubbard. If you really need to score some points to win this week, then I'd go with Noah Brown. So to me, that depends on where you're at.
He's against you.
Oh,
Noah Brown. Play Noah Brown.
Hold on.
You need the higher ceiling play, dude. Play Noah Brown.
I hope you lose this week.
I don't.
Damn it! Why were we giving him advice?
All right, everybody.
Good luck, buddy.
See ya.
Everybody have a good Sunday.
Oh man. So we're week